Listen in for how you can use video for thought leadership, brand awareness, and sales with my guest, Stacy Mayer, on this episode of the Speaking Your Brand podcast. More and more women are making an impact by starting businesses, running for office, and speaking up for what matters. With my background as a TV political analyst, entrepreneur, and speaker, I interview and coach purpose-driven women to shape their brands, grow their companies, and become recognized as influencers in their field. This is Speaking Your Brand, your place to learn how to persuasively communicate your message to your audience. Hi there, and welcome to the Speaking Your Brand podcast. I'm your host, Carol Cox. We are continuing the series that I'm calling The Medium is the Message. This phrase is from a media theorist named Marshall McLuhan way back in the 1950s and 60s. And he talked about how it was the medium itself, whether it was the printing press, radio, or television, that affected and changed our human behavior and our society. It was the medium that dictated how people interacted with it, not so much the specific message that was transmitted on that medium. So it didn't matter if that message contained certain content, it was really the medium itself that was affecting us. And of course, we see this nowadays with the internet and social media. So I'm doing this series to take a look at these different aspects, these different mediums that we use. The first episode a couple weeks ago was all about podcasting. Last week, Diane Diaz and I talked about public speaking, what makes public speaking unique as a medium, and especially how it lends you credibility and authority. In this episode today, we're focusing on video. A few months ago, Instagram, the platform, said that they are prioritizing video. Pinterest is now doing the same. LinkedIn is prioritizing video in their algorithms. Of course, you have platforms like TikTok. So as entrepreneurs, as speakers, as content creators, how can we effectively use different types of video for thought leadership, for brand awareness, and for sales, and also thinking about the different platforms that we're putting our videos on, whether it's social media platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram or on YouTube, or even shooting and sending out personal sales videos to potential clients. My guest is Stacy Mayer, who's a certified executive coach and the founder of Executive Ahead of Time, which helps women get promoted into the executive suite on their own terms. So I've been following Stacy for a little while now, and I've noticed that she's been using video on LinkedIn, which is the primary social media platform that I hang out in. So I invited her on the podcast today to share what's been working well for her with video. Stacy shares with us the different types of videos that she creates, the length, the format, and the content. I love that she uses a particular phrase where she talks about how she goes about shooting the videos themselves. And so this is such a great way to think about creating videos yourself. So listen in for that part of our conversation. We also talk about the results that Stacy is seeing on LinkedIn for lead generation, for brand awareness, and for thought leadership. And then has really, really helpful strategies about how she's using video in her sales process and the big impact it's had, as well as how she's using video to pitch for speaking engagements. And I know you all are really going to get a lot out of that part of our conversation in this episode as well. As a thank you to you for being a podcast listener, we're doing a special giveaway. You can enter for a chance to win a 60-minute coaching session with us. You can use that hour-long session for whatever's going to be most helpful to you. If you have an existing presentation outline and slides that you want reviewed to make it better, if you want to talk about your visibility and speaking strategy for 2022, if you want to take a look at and talk about speaking topics and speaking proposals, you can use that time for whatever's going to have the biggest impact for you. This is not a sales pitch disguised as a coaching session. This is 60 minutes dedicated to you. You can put your name in for a chance to win by going to speakingyourbrand.com/win. That's speakingyourbrand.com/WIN. Be sure to go ahead and hit pause right now. Open your browser on your phone or your laptop. Go to speakingyourbrand.com/win. Just enter in your name and email address. And then we're going to be selecting names during the series that we're doing. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome to the podcast, Stacy.
Hello. Hi, Carol. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you on because I've been following you on LinkedIn. I know you've been using different types of video formats on LinkedIn for brand awareness, lead generation, to promote your programs, and for thought leadership. So I really wanted to dig into that with you today to talk about how you have been using video and to give our listeners some ideas about how to use it as well. Before we get into those details, though, Stacy, can you tell us what it is that you do and who you work with and who you're trying to attract with your videos?
Well, I coach corporate women to get promoted into higher level executive positions. And one of the things that I'm really trying to do with video is get my brand out there, reach more people, reach those women, but really show them that I am a regular person. And by that, I mean, in the corporate world, there is this persona that you have to appear a certain way. And for a lot of the women that I coach, that's actually the real struggle that they have, is that they have to kind of put on this mask. They have to be somebody every day, and then they go home and they're somebody different. And so as their coach, I also want to show them, hey, I'm a normal person, but I can also help you get into these positions of influence and power.
And Stacy, what drew you to working with these professional women, corporate women in particular?
One big thing is that I love being around them. So when I am around really powerful women, I get excited. I step up to the plate. I show up as the more powerful version of myself. And so the first job I got as a coach was actually working for a women's leadership organization. And I absolutely loved the work, but I had this little part of me that was like, it's interesting because the women are starting to feel better. They're feeling more empowered, but they're staying in the role that they're in, and they're not actually getting promoted. And so when I started my business, it was about hashtag show me the money, hashtag no kudos, thank you. And it was all about how can we really get these women into those higher level positions of influence so that they can really start to change their organizations from the inside out. And so part of it is just, I love doing the work that I do, finding powerful women, making them even more powerful. And I also have a unique way that I approach the work that makes it incredibly accessible and really gets results very, very quickly for them. So they really do see those promotion opportunities within even just 6 weeks.
That's incredible. And do you primarily work with your clients in your executive ahead of time program?
Yeah, so that's my flagship program. That's where everybody starts out. What I say is you have to learn the rules before you can learn how to break them. And so we're learning the rules of getting promoted and what it's really going to take. And many of the women get promoted in that executive ahead of time program. And then I also continue to work with many of the corporate women over the next couple of years in my more advanced programs.
And Stacy, I know that you have a podcast of your own called Maximize Your Career. How long have you been doing your podcast?
Well, Carol, I'm glad you asked because I am on episode 100. I know you're far into the 200s, but I am pretty proud that I'm about to celebrate episode number 100.
You should be proud. That is incredible. Anything past 25 in my book is okay, you're committed now for the long haul.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big deal. And really, what has come out of the podcast is a book that's actually coming up. And so once you really do commit to it past that 25 episodes, you're creating a body of work that is going to live way beyond you and so powerful.
What's the title of your book?
It is called Promotions Made Easy, a step-by-step guide to the executive suite.
Ooh, okay, great. We'll make sure to put a link to that in the show notes, Stacy, so that listeners can check that out when it comes out. And also, if we'll obviously connect with you on LinkedIn, those links will be in the show notes as well. So Stacy, so you've been doing your podcast, you're at 100 episodes. So obviously you have your primary content visibility channel that you're using there. Why did you decide to start incorporating video? And tell me, where do you put the videos? Is it only on LinkedIn, or are you putting them on other platforms as well?
I'm going to go a little bit backwards. And because I trust you, Carol, because I trust your audience may be similar to me. When I started my coaching business, I really wanted to help women. I genuinely wanted to help them get promoted. I love coaching. I love the tight connection, the one-on-one work. But I also have to be really honest. I also wanted to be famous. And the reason why I say that is because it's kind of funny because, to say that out loud, you're like, oh, well, but I know you, I know your audience. And this is why I love your work so much because, we all do really. And so, so with that in mind, it's going to sort of speak to the other reason why I use video, why the podcast has been so transformative for me and how I'm actually putting my voice out into the world because this series for you is all about the medium is the message. And for me, my message is me really as a personality, as a performer, as a person with a lot to say. And it doesn't come out so well in imagery or in words, like in, social media. And so when I find that I'm really connecting with my audience, it's always through me talking. Always, always, always.
Okay, that is so, Stacy. I love that you mentioned about being famous, and I just want to add the caveat that the universe listens. So you have to be really specific about what you want to be famous about, because you may mean something you don't want.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that. Especially if my book coming out, I want it to be all good things, right? And honestly, to that end, I coach my women to get to really admit that they want to be in the C-suite, and that's their sort of giggle moment. They're like, "No, really, I want to be in charge." Like I had one woman, her vision, for her career is to be in charge of the whole dang thing, and she just keeps saying that over and over again. And it's that idea of really wanting to be in those positions of influence so that I can bring more diversity to the leadership table. So the more I can get my message out there, the more people that I can reach with my message, then the more impact I'm making on all kinds of people's lives and corporations and so on and so forth. So it's all about that.
Yeah, totally. So you mentioned that you like performing, which is why you like podcasting, and then why you like video because you like talking. And it's funny because a couple episodes before this one, I did an episode called The Relationship Between Speaking and Performance. And that came out because so many of the women in our Thought Leader Academy, we asked them in the introductory call, what did you like to do when you were young? And so many of them like to act, they like to sing, they like to dance, they like to perform. And I feel like that's probably more common for us as speakers than we realize.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was be on stage and give talks and be a speaker. And it's been such a clear goal of mine. And I just really honestly didn't know what I was going to talk about. That had to come a little bit later in life, but I never doubted. And another thing that I find really interesting when I talk about getting energized by these powerhouse women that I work with is that if I'm on a stage with 500, 1,000 people in the audience, I come to life. And so I just know that about myself, right? That's my medium. That's really where I shine. And so I want to do more of that and really bring myself. And so that's why video was just like, oh, of course I need to do more video.
And so Stacy, tell us a bit about the different types of videos that you're creating as far as the length of the videos, the format, who's in them, all those kinds of things.
Yeah. So I started out doing what I would consider to be a traditional video platform where I would do either LinkedIn lives or YouTube videos where I was going to teach something and do like 3 steps to this. And those were okay, but they weren't really getting to my unique qualities, and my personality wasn't really coming through. So it was almost like I was taking the written word and then putting it into a video format. And it wasn't really doing what I wanted it to do. And so I was really thinking about what my approach, like what is my medium? Like, so it's not just video in general, it's what I bring to the video. So there's this attitude of naturalism. And I think I've been doing this. Well, I know I have been doing this pretty much my entire life. So I call it rehearsed spontaneity. And that's what works for me in video. And so I learned this because I actually was an improv performer. So I definitely had a life on the stage for a very, very long time. So I performed improv for 20 years. I was at Second City in Chicago. That's where I started. And then I moved to New York City and I had my own theater company. And so in that world of improv, if you've ever seen an improv show, one of the first things that you'll notice is that they're so natural. They're so off the cuff, right? How do they make that up on the spot, right? It seems like they're just making it up. But we rehearse that for weeks, months. I mean, the amount of rehearsal that we did for a made up show is insane. Insane. We are not making that stuff up on the fly, right? And so there's tools and tricks and things that you do to prepare for looking natural. Right. And I mean, we know this with reality TV, like everything like that is very well rehearsed. And so when I started to think about what I wanted to do with video, I thought, how do I bring rehearsed spontaneity to my video? So I do have a couple of rules that I'm happy to share with you that I use when I'm creating a new video.
Yes, please do. I would say, I'm going to say, I did not know or did not remember that you had this improv background, especially it's such an impressive improv background. One of our clients, Thought Leader Academy clients, Kathy Clote's guest, she was one of our summit speakers a year ago. She also went to Second City.
Oh, wonderful.
And she has done improv forever. And so really, you all make the best speakers. And I did an improv class, and Diane Diaz, our lead speaking coach, we did one in early 2020, right before the pandemic lockdown, and not at all to the level of you and Kathy at all, but it was so instructive. We learned so much. And we're like, okay, we did our 8-week course. We're good.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about as my kids get older, anything I'm going to encourage them to do. And it's like improv, because what I learned about life, I learned in improv,
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So in in terms of the video, so if you think about, I was going from like these longer 10-minute videos where I'm giving an instruction to, I knew that I wanted them to be 2 minutes long. And I liked the Instagram style, like on Reels and that short style, but I wanted to see that on LinkedIn. So most of my clientele is on LinkedIn. And so I really wanted to bring that. And what I mean by Instagram style, at least for me, is having subtitles that are edited. So they're not like the traditional subtitles that come with your video, but that they have like, they might even say something different than what you're actually saying, and something like that. And it really catches their eye, but yet there's still a professional quality that works on LinkedIn. And so I doubled down on this. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put out a video a week that is only 2 minutes long and has these cute little sub captions on it. And the topic of those videos is always a riff on my podcast. And so then that way I'm keeping my content connected and my messaging connected for the week. So if I have a podcast episode, I go a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit more off the cuff in this 2-minute video. And so that it feels very both spontaneous, like I'll be outside walking or, oh, another thing I had to learn pretty quickly is just take the video with your phone. And it doesn't go without saying, because I did them at my desk with a professional camera. And I was like, again, it's not getting to that like day in the life. It doesn't feel like I'm just talking to them. So that's what I've been committing to. And it's interesting, even I think you notice it, right? Those are the videos that you saw of me on LinkedIn. People are noticing them. They're commenting on them. They feel like they're getting to know me. So it's really helping get my brand out there and feeling like a normal person that I can just talk to them about whatever their challenges are and go even deeper into it.
Yes, Stacy. So I appreciate what you said about the short amount of time. So about 2 minutes, and related to whatever else your content theme is for that week. In that case, it's related to your podcast. And it is kind of like the woman on the street type of videos where you're literally, a lot of times you're outside, you're walking, you have managed the walk and talk. Do you have like a selfie stick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have it. I love the walk and talk. The biggest challenge is that I live in a neighborhood with a lot of hills. So sometimes I run out of breath in the walk and talk because I have to re-record every now and then. But yeah, I love it so much. Actually, it's funny that you said that because I was thinking back to when I first started video. So we would go into New York City in Times Square dressed as goofy characters. And then we would interview people. And it was totally that day in the life, just quick, like, hey, how's it going? What's your day like? Da, 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 da. But we'd have like some weird, crazy wig on and play all these characters and stuff like that. So anything that I can do that just feel, I was going to use the word normal, but it's heightened normal, right? So it's entertainment in a way, but for me, it's really fun. And then you add that level of professionalism to it. And then it works also for my business. So it's not just for fun. It has a point, it has a purpose, it has the reasons behind it.
Then let's talk a little bit about the goals for the videos. So obviously brand awareness, people getting to know you, getting to know Stacy and what you do with your business is really important. Have you seen a connection between the videos that you're doing and an increase in lead generation or increase in women reaching out to you?
One thing I will notice is a couple of other ways that I'm using video. And so, in terms of LinkedIn, I think it feels a little bit like a wash, which means that I get people just get general engagement, right? So we get the imagery, they'll read my words and we also get the video on top of it. But it doesn't seem like it would, at least at this point, it's sustainable if that was my whole social media strategy. But that being said, they for sure are getting to know me a little bit better, right? Like it's bridging that gap. But these other ways that I'm using video, which you probably don't see because it's all behind the scenes, is really helping with lead generation and really helping me push the needle.
Ooh, do tell more, Stacy.
So one thing that I just know you're going to love is Loom videos. So I started using Loom videos for all of my pitches. And so if I want to go to a conference, if I want to, anything, like if I want to send that DM, right, to somebody, instead of just sending them a DM, I make a video for them. And so for those of you who don't know Loom, it's just a way that you can capture it's a screen capture, but you can also just make a video of yourself as a person and just talking to the screen. And so it's just super quick and it comes with a link. So I'm not uploading the video to the DM. I'm actually just putting the link. And then the beauty of platforms like LinkedIn, it'll actually show a little clip of the video. So when they pull up the DM, then it looks like me like sitting there. And so then, oh, what is this? And I've got speaking gigs, I've got presentations off of this, and it breaks down that barrier. And I'm basically saying the same thing that I would say in the email, like I see your work. I like your work. This resonates with me. And because I like video so much and I don't overthink it, I just make the video, send it to them and move on to the next person. But it's been huge. So lead generation in terms of getting engagements for like bigger speaking gigs or just really anything you would pitch yourself to. But also on the other side, when I'm doing the sales process over email. So if somebody asks me a question, then I'm definitely connecting with them in video. And I always still have to catch myself and I start to type up the reply and then I'm like, why don't I just make them a video? And it works so much better. My sales are going up. Everything is better. The connection is there. Yeah. So I highly, highly recommend it.
And I imagine that these videos are pretty short as well.
Oh yeah, 2 minutes, right? Again, we're not going to go on and on. It's just like you wouldn't in an email, right? So it's almost exactly what I would say in the email, except for that I do it in a video.
That is so great, Stacy. And it is so much more personable for them to hear you and see you, especially when it's a video made just for them versus, I know you're not making one video and sending it to 50 people. You're making one video. Hi, Jennifer, hi, Sandra, and talking to them specifically.
Oh, and don't tell anybody, but sometimes I make one video and send it to 50 people.
Oh, do you really?
Oh, yeah. Because all you have to do is just leave their name out, right? I mean, how many times have you copied and pasted a pitch, right? So you just sort of change the opening sentence or something. So depending on what it is that you're actually trying to share, you can say, hey, happy Saturday. So I was working on the thing and I was thinking about you, right? Like there's so many ways that you can personalize it.
Okay. All right. So listeners, you did not hear us talking about that. They are all 100% personal. No, but I'm thinking about, it's funny because you remember when email marketing first became a thing, obviously like 20 years ago, people would get the emails and think, and it was said, hi, Carol, because like personalization started and they would sent directly to them from that specific person. And then I didn't realize it was a bulk email process.
Oh, I know. Totally. And, but it's kind of like that with video. So we're ahead of the curve. And so we can really make it feel personalized, but not spend a ton of time doing it. That is something to think about.
So, Stacy, let me ask you about how you see your video content as similar or different from your podcast content. Now, I know that obviously you'll do a video for whatever that podcast content topic is for that week. But as far as how you think about the role video plays in your business versus the role that the podcast plays, what are similarities or differences?
So I think that the similarity is that it's connecting with me and my voice. One of the best compliments I get all of the time is my laugh. Don't ever lose your laugh. And so if I can be laughing on my podcast, if I can be laughing in a video, then that's me, that I'm a normal person. This is how I show up, and this is how I show up in my coaching. This is what the program is going to be like when you come inside, right? So in that sense, they're actually incredibly the same. But to your point, when you asked me in terms of, are these videos really helping with my lead generation? My podcast is a gold mine. I am building these relationships and they are really getting to know me. And I suppose that my video could become that, but it's yeah, I don't even know, right? And so I see my video as one piece of my social media strategy versus my podcast is a strategy in and of itself. So that's really how I look at it. And so I another thing I want to do with video is just make it really easy and simple, because my podcast, I might spend 2 or 3 hours on an episode, but a 2-minute email, I can't be spending it's just not time effective, but I can get it out there. I can keep doing it, right? I can do my weekly videos. I make that connection. And so it's something that I can do very consistently, and I don't have any desire to give it up. It's like if I had to give up certain things or my weekly posts or whatever, it wouldn't be the video. The video always stays.
Ooh, that's good to know. Now, Stacy, I know with the Loom videos, they're very easy. We just record them and we grab the link and we send it. Now, for the videos that you're posting on LinkedIn, the ones where you have the captions and the captions that you've done, not just the automated captions. And I know sometimes you have a frame around them, like with your like a clip from your podcast. Are you doing that yourself, or do you have a team member who's doing that?
Yeah, so I do have a team member that's doing it. There is simple editing software, and I'll have to share it with you. Maybe we can put it in the show notes. I can't think of it off the top of my head because she's doing it all the time. But it's for her too. It's also important that it's very simple. But definitely getting help with that was actually really helpful for me too, because I can go into the weeds technically and get a little overconsumed. And that's why I like the Loom videos and then like giving that to somebody else. But again, what we're trying to do is make it look like I just did an Instagram reel, but she does it with this whole other editing software. We can make it look like an Instagram reel. And so that's also kind of interesting when you see a video on LinkedIn on a different social platform that has the traditional look of Instagram, then it catches people's attention, right? Because I think the more standard videos that I see when I'm scrolling through LinkedIn is that more formal, traditional, how I used to do it, where it's a 10-minute video or something that you would find on YouTube, basically.
Yes, that's an excellent point, Stacy. So for the videos that I have a couple of questions, but let me ask you the first one. The videos that you record on your phone, like the walk and talks. So then you're not broadcasting those live. You're recording them on your phone and then you're sending them to your team member and they're adding the other elements to it.
Exactly. And you can, when you post them on platforms like Instagram and on Facebook, you can make them look live. You just click a little button and it posts it as a live and says live. And it's, we're just pulling the wool over your eyes over here.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. So, okay, well, that's good to know.
So I have another way that I started using video, and you might have heard of this platform as well, which is, have you heard of this app? It's spelled MMMHMMM.
I feel like I have, but it was a while ago, maybe like a year ago.
So Zoom, you're giving a presentation, you're giving a talk, but you want to use slides, right? And as a speaking coach, you understand this, like you want to see the person, right? Not just the slides. And Zoom is I mean, I'm sorry to say, but it's very challenging to have your head over in the corner and then you've got this giant slide. So I always wish that we could reverse that and you could see most of me and then I would be like, I'm on stage. So I started using this app for my webinars and any talks that I give. If I give a talk at a conference or a summit, anything that I do, I use this. And what it is you've got your picture and then you've got little tiny slides over your shoulder. It's basically like what it would look like on on a TED stage where you've got the slides behind you but you're the focus of the attention. And that has been so much fun. And I noticed that I'm getting more engagement from the audience when they can see my body and see my face. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, since I know a lot of your listeners would be interested in something like that.
Okay. So then Stacy, and this is something that you can use live, not pre-recorded.
Yeah, it's live.
And so is it an app like that it hooks into Zoom?
Exactly. And so when you click on your camera feature, it comes up and you can choose as the camera, you choose this app.
And how do you spell it again? Okay, they need to work on their naming, really.
Right, it's a little hard, but it's like MMMHMMM.
Okay, we'll look it up for you all listening and put a link in the show notes for that one as well. And I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm having so much fun with it. Of course, it has the funny backgrounds and stuff. So if you move your arms, you look like you're, going out into outer space or whatever. But it's really, really great in terms of being able to have slides, but then your body and your face and your voice is the focus of the attention. So
I totally agree. Yes. With the Zoom, I wish there was a way to at least resize the windows, your screen share versus, the camera view, but obviously they haven't gotten to that point yet. Stacy, anything that you would like to try with video that you haven't yet?
I think the first thing that pops into my head, and this is going to sort of see my train of thought in terms of what I should be doing versus what I think would actually be effective. So the first idea is like, I want to do professional videos, right? It was like, I would love to have a crew. I would love to have real editing, right? And I think that that's always the dreamer in me that was going to have a big staff and be able to do, these high production videos. And sometimes I watch them and I get a little bit jealous. And so that's like my first reaction. But truthfully, now I think I could do without it. And, maybe I'll still do that eventually. But if I could do more video now, I would love to do behind the scenes. So one of the things I've always admired about Gary Vaynerchuk is he talks about how he had a huge staff and he gave everybody, he said, turn on your phone at all times and record me all the time. And so he just said, everybody have your phones on at all times, record me. So every meeting he's in, somebody's in a meeting, they're recording him from the side, from the back, from the down, whatever. But that's how you got those real behind the scenes footage of him. And for me, I'm having all kinds of amazing just conversations and back and forth and coming up with ideas and really thinking out loud. That's what I do best. And to have that ability to record that from like almost like reality show, so that it's like it's a hidden camera that's just capturing me in the moment. I see this as huge. And you see people do it. I was going to say it's blowing up, but it'll be the next wave, but I think it's already here. But it's just, how do I do that? How do I create that? How do I create without a huge staff and people around me to say, record my every move? But that's my goal. I would love to be able to do that. So I think I'm going to start with little things like an interview like this with you, perhaps even just taking a still shot, taking a little video clip of me watching the interview with you, things like that, so that you're getting different angles. But it's just another way to say, I'm a real person. You can relate to me, connect with me. You want to be a part of my programs. So I think that would be super cool.
Stacy, as myself, as an introvert, and speaking for all of the introverts listening right now, having cameras on me all day long is literally the last thing that I would want.
Oh my God, it sounds amazing.
Are you an extrovert?
Oh yeah.
Okay, of course. See, there you go. All right. That makes sense.
Actually, Carol, I use your situation to talk to a lot of the introverts, because I mostly work with introverts. And so, but I remind them that they can also be thought leaders, public figures, public speakers, 150%. I said, look, this is easier for me, but you can totally learn this and you can be very excellent at it.
Oh, yes. I think some of the best speakers are introverts because we're very tuned into the audience and we have, we have that like ability to really focus in. And so absolutely we can be great speakers and thought leaders, but we only want to do it an hour or two a day.
24/7 over here.
Right. Exactly.
Give me, look me up, put the IV in. I'm good to go.
Stacey, have you ever auditioned for Big Brother? Sounds like.
I really wanted to be on The Amazing Race. That was it. I was like, that was my show. So now I feel like you said, you put it out into the universe, you just might get it. I think they're still recording that show. Maybe post-pandemic, they'll go traveling again.
Yes. No, my husband and I love that show. They actually had auditions in Orlando, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And we were like so tempted to go, but I have an incredible fear of heights. And of course, I know that's what they do on the show. So I was like, I would be out. So
yeah.
But yeah, I love it. All right, Stacy, where can listeners connect with you? Obviously on LinkedIn, like I said, we'll include a link to the show notes. Tell us again your podcast and your website.
Yeah. So Maximize Your Career with Stacy Mayer is my podcast. Definitely check that out and say hi if you're a listener. And my website is stacymayer.com. And then if you add a /book, then you can be the first to know when my book comes out. I think pretty soon to when this episode is going to be airing. So at the end of November, my book will be coming out, and you can definitely grab your copy and share it with all of your friends who you just know need to be promoted to the executive suite and are ready to do it. This book will help them get there.
Congratulations, Stacy, on the book. And thank you so much for coming on the Speaking Your Brand podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again to Stacy for coming on the podcast. Be sure to connect with her on LinkedIn and go check out her book, Promotions Made Easy, a step-by-step guide to the executive suite. Don't forget to enter for a chance to win a 60-minute coaching session with us. Go to speakingyourbrand.com/win. That's speakingyourbrand.com/WIN to enter. And also make sure to hit subscribe or follow in your podcast app so you don't miss the other episodes that we're doing. In this series, The Medium is the Message. We're going to be talking about TV, about email, about social media, and about books and articles. So all really important mediums for us to use as entrepreneurs, as speakers, and as content creators, and how we can use them for the best results. Until next time, thanks for listening.